Pizza, chicken fingers, half sandwiches, you name it and it's going to be there. So look out for that. Also, in addition, we have a talent show today, like any ordinary convention, but this year we're going to spice things up and we're going to have our three judges, Juliana Jaws, Grant Crater, and Tracy Thomas to act as our unofficial judges. And whoever wins the talent show will be receiving a $20 gift card to Starbucks. So look out for that. So in addition, during the night activities, I know a lot of you guys are excited to go to the dance and have fun, but for those who are not interested in the dance, we have a movie showing in the conference theater. It's right across from the hall onto the conference theater. It's an amazing setup. We have a screen, we have audio, and we have great chairs that are amazing for you guys. We are going to be showing the documentary Sicko by Michael Moore. And after watching the documentary, we're going to have a short discussion, so stay for that. In addition, during the night, we are going to be selling Lara bars, 3 for $1. It's a little energy kick if you guys are tired. I know it's really late, and come out and buy them. So in addition, as Juliana was stating, as SoCal, we are trying to up the ante and try to be more technologically advanced. So if everyone could turn around and look at Paul, our director of live stream. If you guys are uncomfortable with being on live stream, if you have any qualms or any concerns, please do talk to Paul right before they started the activity so he could take you out or he could work with you on that. In addition, today we have our very first mock trial, so get excited for that. We are going to be arguing the case Fisher versus the University of Texas about affirmative action. Okay? And your fellow JSAers are going to be acting as your Chief Justice, our lead petitioner, and our lead respondent, and we're going to be having several associate jurors as well. And now, it's the favorite time of the convention. Please take out a pen and your agenda, because we have a few corrections to make. At lunch, we will be having no political fare for lunch and block 1, so please cross that out. In addition, if you go to your full agenda on block 3, the speech test debate on U.S. immigration policy is canceled, so we will not be having that. In addition, the night activities of the movie showing is changed to the conference theater, as I stated before, which is right across the hall from Swansea, which is the room that we are at right now. And our final and last correction is the Santiago rooms are now all changed to Quail Hill. So if you see anything that was originally designated to Santiago, now we have to move it to Quail Hill. So I hope that's beneficial for you guys, and that's all the announcements on the convention side. I hope you guys enjoy Fall State OC. We've been planning this for over months now, and I hope you guys enjoy.
To call up Nicole Michelson, who is our Speaker of the Assembly.
Hello everyone. It is my goal this year to make sure that I can provide the means and opportunity for us JSAers to be very active in our communities, our local governments, and our national government. We have undertaken many new initiatives, all of which are outlined in the white half sheet of paper that was inserted into your agenda. So first off, we will be having 2 assembly meetings during blocks 2 and 5 in Trabuco and Saddleback, which is actually now Quail Hill. It is required that each chapter send their assembly member or a representative if their assembly member is absent to vote on to come and vote on the 5 claims we have for you today, one of which is sponsored by your Angeles Region's Mayor Sabrina Lieberman. And these planks will ultimately form the platform that JSA stands for. So it's imperative that we all start by taking part in our JSA community before we start taking part in our larger communities. This is the very first convention where we have a block devoted to artivism. We will be debating pro-life versus pro-choice, and your 6 wonderful speakers who will be using art to refute and contend points are as follows: Satya Fuentes, Elizabeth Mulroy, Juliet Myers, Madeline Wilson, Kathy Nguyen, and Philip Lee Gerald. This landmark debate will take place in Block 1 in Quail Hill. Lastly, I've been getting many questions about youth advisory boards. We have several youth advisories established in Southern California with our congressional representatives, thanks to our youth advisory board coordinator Daniel Hamidi. We are waiting to fill these youth advisory boards with many eager JSA members so that you can directly speak to your congresswoman, congressman, and representatives to voice your opinions and to voice what you think matters to the students, people who are soon to be inheriting the nation, and hopefully to end the gridlock in Washington, as Julianne had stated in her opening speech. To be considered for a position on board or even as a chair of the board, please come to the interviews tomorrow in Block 4, and you will not be asked to bring anything, just some suggestions or an outline of what you plan to propose to your congressman or congresswoman. With your participation, these many initiatives will increase our activism efforts in SoCal, truly allowing us to be the people. So thank you so much in advance for partaking in all of these.
All right, now I'm going to call up our Director of Debate, Timothy Kay, and he has some exciting news, which I think you guys will be happy to hear.
So as many of you are aware, when you're at a debate, you'll hear something that you're not sure if is true or not. You'll wonder, are these statistics real, or is this guy just making something up to convince us? Because of that, the debate department recently created a fact-checking hotline. The number's up there. Please do not try right now. There's no one manning the stations. Sorry. But basically, during a debate or thought talk, if you have any questions, text that number and you'll get an immediate response, or as soon as possible, that'll answer your question, that'll hopefully allow you to speak more and participate more in these debates. But please only ask if it's absolutely necessary, because I'm sure many of you will have questions. On the topic of questions, the debate department worked extremely hard to create a debate preparation guide. You can find it on the SoCal website under Fall State Debates. What this is a very succinct guide that provides 3 points for the pro argument and the con argument. It also lists multiple resources that you can access during a debate if you want to subsequently speak, or if you're a main speaker and you need to prepare your debate offhand, which you shouldn't be doing. Also, as you're aware, for any good debate, you must have good speakers, but you also must have a good moderator. If the moderator is bad, the debate will go out of control and everything will fall apart. Because of that, we've started a moderator certification program where anyone who would like to moderate this year must be certified. This can be done during the moderator certification block, which is in the next block in Salon B, which will be led by Grant Crater. You'll have to take a short 15-question test there that's fairly easy if you've paid attention to any debates before. And finally, many of you have shown interest in speed chess. And speed chess is a little bit different from a normal debate, and you can find the format of it in the back of your agenda. And it's a very fast-paced way of debating, so you don't need to just sit down and wait for the speaker to go on with the long argument. It's really fast-paced, bullet point style, and it's a lot of fun. And I encourage everyone to attend at least one speed chess debate, because it's a very good opportunity. And I hope everyone has a great time debating at Fall State.
Our directors of expansion, Matthew Cohen and Sahas Debois.
Expansion is growing. It is bringing the Junior Statesmen of America to high schools without JSA. Now, expansion is more than the countless phone calls and long emails that the expansion department makes. It's more than the persistence and dedication expansion requires, and it is more than simply helping contacts start new chapters. It's giving students an opportunity to be involved in a respectable organization and to voice their opinion. It's the friendly relationships that emerge between contacts and cabinet members. It's the joy of a job well done, of succeeding in bringing contacts to Spring State. Expansion is the many, many faces you will see at Fall State, Winter Congress, and Spring State. And without it, JSA cannot progress. Now, unlike prior years, this year's expansion department requires every cabinet member to find a contact and try to create a chapter at said contact's school. This program has been incredibly successful, and it is successful because cabinet members on both the state and regional level have worked countless hours to create new tax-paid chapters. Therefore, we ought to recognize them today.
So congratulations and thank you to the following cabinet members. Juliana Joss for starting a chapter at Rich Restaurant High School. Valerie Edwards for starting a chapter at Laces High School. Zachary Watsonfield for starting one at St. Mary's High School. Timothy Kang at North Hollywood High School. Lucas Shahiri at Milton Community High School. Eunice Lee at Brentwood High School. JJ Vega at Crespi Carmelite. Nicole No at Troy High School. Forbes Bainu at San Marcos High School. Annalise Spencieri at Palm Desert High School. And Sabrina Lieberman at Roman C. Cortinez High School. There are some new chapters here today with us, so we will applaud them as well. Just hold the applause until they're all said. Agassiz Prep High School, Canyon Crest High School, Canyon High School, and El Dorado High School. So on behalf of everyone on cabinet, we thank you for coming today and hope you all have a good time. We also hope that well-established schools will lend a hand and guide any of the new schools here today. And that's it. Hope you enjoy your convention.
All right, now it is time to call up our wonderful program director, Tracy Thomas.
Hi everyone, I'm Tracy Thomas, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm your Southern California Program Director, and I support these awesome leaders to put on these conventions, and all of the awesome chapter presidents that are all here in the audience to help support your chapters on your high school campuses to make sure that you're all having interesting and exciting and engaging activities on campus. And to echo our expansion team calling out some of our new chapters here, we have two chapters that are actually quite impressive that we'd like to call out. One, the chapter who's traveled the farthest, and the other, the chapter that's the largest. I'll start with the largest chapter here, bringing in 65 students. Let's give a round of applause to Valencia High School. But Nevada is actually considered part of the Southern California Junior State. So, in addition to being a brand new chapter, we have a chapter at Agassiz College Prep in North Las Vegas who got up this morning at 3:30 in the morning to drive here to be with us. So let's give a big round of applause. All right, you are all here in this room because you are statesmen. And to be a statesman is to lead with integrity, taking necessary action to stand up for your ideals and solve problems while respecting the opinions of others along the way. And whether or not you agree with those opinions, it doesn't make the opinions less real for the person that has them. There's no shortage of opinions about the presidential race we just witnessed. How many of you are happy about the outcome? And how many of you wanted something different? Well, like all the people that pounded the pavement and were canvassing the neighborhoods, promoting their candidate, if you want something to be different from what it is, you can sit around like the rest of America and talk about it and complain about it, or you can lead the way to make it different. You don't finish a marathon by sitting around and sitting on your couch talking about starting to train. You cross that finish line by hitting the pavement every day and showing the naysayers that you are doing it. And in this room, we understand that government is of the people, by the people, and for the people. And we, at JSA, we know that, like our logo says, we want JSA members to be the people who recognize that something is wrong in their communities, and be the people who see an alternative, and be the people who organize action to fuel the change. Gandhi says, I always say this, be the change you want to see in the world. How many of you took part in a mock election at your school this year? Yeah. That's awesome. That's a great first place to start to be an active citizen. What else can you do to take action? How else can you engage with the already running machine that fuels change? And what does that look like exactly? So think about this. Pick a debate topic and write to your elected official about what you think should be done. Pick a thought talk and write a letter to the editor of your local paper. Post on a political blog. Volunteer for a public official. Make a public comment at a school board meeting. Give a subsequent speech this weekend and have a friend take a photo of you and paste it on social media. Shake hands with an elected official. Meet with your principal about the impact JSA is making on your campus. Get classmates to come to the next JSA meeting and talk about their opinion. And find a community organization in your area that works on an issue you care about. Now is the time to be the people to make democracy work. And we want every chapter here to engage with their communities, and then tell us about it. At Spring State every year, the TAs pick the chapter of the year. It's based on how active your chapter has been in JSA, as well as how your JSA chapter sponsors activities like I just spoke of in your community. So document, take photos, and every chapter here is eligible for chapter of the year. Last year at Spring State, we had a tie. And I'd like to show you a 2-minute clip of their videos. The first one is from John Burroughs High School, who actually went on to win the National Civic Impact Award. What happens is every JSA state, there's 9 states across the country, every chapter of the year winner goes on to a second round where they compete against each other. So it really is the best of the best. And in the last 3 years, JSA Southern California has won twice the National Civic Impact Award. And our most recent is John Burroughs High School. Let's give John Burroughs a round of applause. Okay. The arrow. That one. And then enter. Oh, here we go. Where's the cursor? Wow. Latin.
Last year, John Burroughs High School JSA set itself a goal: win the National Civic Impact Award, and in the process, improve our school, our community, and ourselves. It all started with Memorial Field. Our seniors were promised to graduate on our newly renovated athletic field, but when the location was changed, our senior class was upset. We hosted a debate to discuss the change, and brought in over 130 people. We started a petition, met with our principal, and ultimately, the graduation location was changed back to the field. Thanks in part to the success, our membership rose to over 115 tax-paid members, shattering our previous number of only 35. John Burroughs High School was also heavily involved in the community, attending school board meetings, city council meetings, and Burbank Historical Commission meetings. As a group, Borough's JSA gave back by raising over $700 for Camp Ronald McDonald, benefiting children diagnosed with cancer. We also hosted a book drive, donating almost 200 books to our school and local libraries. Throughout the year, John Burroughs also hosted a wide variety of guest speakers, at least one from every level of government. These speakers included LA County Supervisor Mike Antonovich, Burbank City Councilman Gary Brick, the Mayor of Beverly Hills, Barry Brucker, State Senator Carol Liu, and Congressman Adam Schiff. Through fundraisers like our dodgeball tournament and money brought in from selling JSA lanyards and shirts, Burroughs was able to bring more people to all 3 state conventions than ever before. On top of attending state conventions, John Burroughs JSA hosted 2 mini-cons. And at Spring State, 3 of our members ran for state or regional office. John Burroughs is proud of what it accomplished last year, and we hope to continue to make a positive impact on the world around us for years to come.
Where's the other one?
Hi, my name is Nima Karoy, and I'm the chapter president of Corona Del Mar JSA. The CDM chapter of JSA was created by and for the students. We are a nonpartisan group that is dedicated to supporting student involvement in politics, to improving our public speaking skills, for promoting civic education, and for providing campus leadership. Throughout the year, we have demonstrated that democracy is not a spectator sport. Our chapter truly does have a voice. Now let me give you some numbers and you can do the thinking. By the summer of 2011, CDM JSA had a mere 18 tax-paid members. By our second meeting in late September, we had recruited a total of 68 tax-paid members, 49 of which would go on to attend Ball State, and 8 of which would win Best Speaker titles. Our presence was finally heard, and our year would soon be followed by a plethora of campus and community involvement.
Our chapter is very involved within our community. Throughout the year, CDM JSA has hosted numerous community service events, such as teaming up with restaurants and the UNICEF TAP project to raise money and awareness for the need of clean drinking water in underdeveloped areas. Our chapter members proved to be diverse and involved. 17 of our members traveled with the Youth in Government program to Sacramento to serve as a mock legislature, while 3 served as committee chairs. Most importantly, we currently attend city council meetings and have 5 members that serve as student councilmen on the City of Newport Beach Youth Council. This connection has allowed us to organize events with the Serve Right Foundation that is helping us to lobby in an effort to pass and write bills banning the use of plastic bags in Newport Beach. Our chapter holds members that have seats in the California Youth Advocacy Network and the World Affairs Council of America. In addition, our chapter will continue to be active even after Spring State. We have recently confirmed a planned visit to the Chilean consulate in Los Angeles and are in the process of planning a 2013 visit to Washington, D.C. to attend the 45th presidential inauguration.
Thank you for listening to our presentation about Corona Del Mar JSA. And remember, democracy is not a spectator sport.
The chapter of the year. And we would like everyone in this room to know that you have a chance starting right now to start thinking about activities, start thinking about community involvement that you can have and speakers you can host at your school and ways that you can build your chapter internally on the one side, but also ways that your chapter can sponsor events going out into the community. And so the quality of leadership and civic engagement is what students learn to do at JSA Summer School, and it's no coincidence that we have summer school alumni from both of those 2 chapters of the year. So how many here have been to a JSA summer program? Yeah! All right. JSA Summer School is amazing. You get to live on campus at 3 weeks at Stanford, Georgetown, or Princeton. And this year, we're introducing a new program at yet another Ivy League school. Our AP US History is now being offered at the University of Virginia. So you get taught by a college professor for a high school class credit. You get to take the AP exam. You get to make friends that last long after summer school. And you get to leverage this whole experience by shoving yourself to the top of the pile when it comes time for college applications. So active JSA members who attend summer school are called JSA Scholars. And I'd like to call up and recognize our 2012 JSA Scholars. When your name is called, please come to the front of the room and Governor Joss will hand you a JSA Scholar pin and shake your hand, and let's hold all applause till the end. Oh, you know what? I make a mistake. We actually have an international program, and that's in China, and that's open to not only high school, current high school freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, but if you are a high school senior, normally you're not allowed to attend any of our summer programs. However, our international program is called our JSA Diplomat Program, and that is offered in Beijing, China. And so those of you who are seniors still have an opportunity to make JSA last into your summer. So I'd like to call up our single student from the JSA Diplomat Program, Miranda Green from Orange County High School of the Arts. And from Harvard Westlake, and now these are all the students that went to Georgetown. From Harvard Westlake, we have Samantha Garfield. From Marlborough, we have Sabrina Lieberman. From OXA, do you guys call it OXA now? From OSHA, we have Armand Mirage. From our new school, Agassiz College Prep, we have Tatiana Iglesias. From Santiago, we have Mackenzie Smith. And from Servite, we have Roman Guerrero. Let's give a round of applause for Georgetown students. Now, for Princeton, from Dana Hills, we have Sahan Saberi. From Marywood Palm Valley, we have Bob Nee. From OSHA, again, we have Carrie Hoffman. From Orange Lutheran, we have Nicole Nyo. From Xavier, we have Annalise Spenceri. And from Northwood, we have Chris Park. Let's get a round of applause for all the Princeton students. And last but not least, our Stanford program. From Bell Gardens, we have JJ Vega. From Agassiz College Prep, our other new school, we have Sydney Robinson. From Santiago, we have Travis Ramirez. And from Valencia, we have Daniel Hamidi. Let's all of our scholars stand up. All of our scholars stand up. Let's give everyone a round of applause. Thank you. Now, everyone here in this room is eligible to become a JSA Scholar. All you have to do is become an active JSA member, which means you're tax paid, and attend a convention, which you currently have. So not only will everyone in this room receive an automatic $750 scholarship, but we have an incredible promotion going on right now that if you get accepted to the program by December 15th, you will receive an additional $250, bringing your automatic scholarship up to $1,000. And that's just a starting point. We will help you fundraise, and you can apply for additional scholarships on top of that. But you have to have your application in by December 15th. And here's all you have to do. You need to fill out the online form. You need to send in your transcripts, and all you have to do is even just take a screenshot of your transcripts and email it to me, and that will be fine. And then the other part is having a teacher recommend you, or at this convention, we're going to be offering a 10-minute interview by myself or my other JSA colleague, Lindsey Brown, in the back. And the two of us will be administering interviews for 10 minutes. We're just going to ask you about some of your opinions on things. And so if you'd like to sign up for an interview, you can find it at the reg table in the front. We only have 8 spots available. So please, if you're interested, let's get you through the process. Let's get you on our radar so we can help you through so you can make that December 15th deadline. And tomorrow morning during the first block, we're having an information session. I'm going to be telling you about the programs, and we're also going to have some alumni there if you want to know from the student's perspective what it's like to be on campus. It'll be a fun, informal talk, and it's really important, even if you're even a little bit curious about what summer school is, please come to that meeting tomorrow. And anyone who is accepted by December 15th will be taking part in a pizza party at Congress. So everyone who's been accepted by the 15th, we're all going to have a pizza party for you at our very next convention. So we look forward to getting you through the process, and I'm there to help you along the way. Now, last but not least, it's time to go over my favorite book. And it's a very important book, and I'm going to bring you in on some of the details. Does anyone know what it's called? How to not get sent home. I'm a pretty easy person to please. I don't get very upset, and I rarely do. But when I do, and some of you here have witnessed it, you know that you do not want to be on the receiving end of said wrath. So, here's chapter 1 of the book, How to Not Get Sent Home. Number 1, name tag. Make sure you're always wearing your name tag at all times. During the day, during the evening events, you have to always be identified as a JSA student. This is your ticket into the dance. And all teacher advisors know that if they see a student that is not wearing their name tag, they're going to be sent upstairs to go get it. This is a zero tolerance policy. You must always be wearing your name tag. There are no boys and girls rooms, no girls and boys rooms, as you know. And if you get caught in a room of another sex, you will be immediately sent home, no questions asked. If you forget a sweatshirt that someone's holding for you, you're going to have to wait until someone that is from that room can go pick it up for you. If it's illegal outside of JSA, it's illegal inside of JSA. No drugs, no alcohol, no smoking cigarettes, that's all illegal. And there are no student drivers, so if anybody drove themselves and broke that rule, please surrender your keys to your teacher advisor immediately. And if we find out that there are any keys from student drivers among us, you will be sent home. Another no-no is being loud and disrespectful to hotel guests, our TAs here, any of the JSA staff members, or any of the hotel staff. Our goal here, we're nice and close to the airport, our goal here is to make sure that we're not an intrusion to the other hotel guests. We are guests of theirs. We have pilots here that are going to be flying planes tomorrow morning, and if we're loud and keeping them up, that's very disrespectful, and that's not the image we want to portray. We have more integrity than that because we actually care about people other than ourselves. So we're going to make sure that we are nice and respectful for everyone involved. Make sure that you're always in your committee when committee time is on. We don't want committee hopping. If you go into a committee and you don't like it, you're not allowed to switch and go to another one. All the halls should be completely empty, apart from the 5 minutes we have to actually switch debate rooms. You're allowed to go off campus, off the hotel, during dinner if your teacher advisor approves it. So some teacher advisors may require that you get their permission. Other teacher advisors may say that you have to be escorted by them. Before leaving the property, make sure you understand your school and your teacher advisor's policies because you may be getting your teacher advisor fired if you act in a way that is not sanctioned by their school. And when you come back from dinner, you're not allowed to leave the property from that point on. So when you get back at 7:15, what time is it? The caucus starts at 7:15? At 7:15, make sure that you are here on property and you're not allowed to leave under any circumstances after that. And at 10 p.m., if you go upstairs, you're not allowed to come back down because that's the time when people start going to bed. So if you have to get something from upstairs, you want your jacket, you want money, make sure you take care of that before 10 p.m. because if there's just a one-way ticket up starting at 10 o'clock. And everyone must be dressed in formal attire during the day. We have a dress code that was passed by your assembly, by the Southern California Assembly. It was proposed last year at Congress, and it was passed last year at Spring State. You can find that dress code in your agenda. And if we find that anyone is dressed inappropriately, we will ask you to go upstairs and change. And when But when everyone breaks for dinner at 5 o'clock, you're allowed to go change into casual clothes. I know Survey's probably going to have a costume for us of sorts. But make sure that you do follow your code of being responsibly dressed during the day. So follow these rules, you'll be golden. I look forward to seeing all of your smiling faces tomorrow morning because you will have followed the rules of how to not get sent home. So thank you very much, and I'm excited for a great convention.
Now I'm going to call up Juan Jose Vega from Bell Gardens High School to introduce our speaker.
Good morning, JSA. My name is Juan Jose Vega from Bell Gardens High School. Today I have the honor of introducing our first guest speaker. He began his career in public service in 1993. where he first served as part of the Montebello Unified School District Board of Education. He was first elected board president by his colleagues in 1997. After being board president, having support from his friends, family, and colleagues, he became the Assembly District Representative for the 58th District. So with that said, please help me in welcoming Tom Calderon.
Thank you. Thank you, JJ, and thank you, Madam Governor, for inviting me here to speak today. I'll tell you, I'm really impressed with all of you. When I was your age, I wasn't doing this. I won't tell you what I was doing, but I wasn't doing this. And I really felt my way going, to college and really wasn't into politics. My older brother, Charles Calderon, who eventually went to the Assembly and became a state senator, was really involved in politics before I ever was. And I remember him being in 8th grade saying he wanted to be a lawyer and he wanted to be an assemblyman. I said, well, which car plant do you want to work at? Assembly line, get it. I didn't know what assembly was. But he decided he's going to go in politics. I went to college and I got more involved in campus politics. And I went to Third College, which was founded by Angela Davis and Kurt Marcuse, who are two very radical, he was a radical philosopher and she was a radical political activist. And there I got involved with protesting, and we protested the UC's investment in South Africa. This was back in 1973, a long time ago. So that was sort of my track, but then I decided I really need to get involved and make a difference. And so I became a teacher. I taught English second language. And my brother decided he was going to run for state assembly. So I ran his campaign for assembly, and he won. And he got elected at age 28. And now his son, Ian Calderon, is 26 and will be the youngest serving assembly member in the state assembly come this January. Thank you. So it really does make a difference to start young, be focused, and to know where you're going. But it's more than wanting to be someday an elected official, wanting someday to be a lawyer or a doctor or having some major role in society. It's also about preparing yourself as a person. And that means understanding values, understanding how to process information, what I try It meant that situation. Part of the make it very, very to educate. Because and protect the responsibility to Obama, Romney. It was a process that's unequal in the entire world. But now that people have spoken, now it's time to come together as a nation and start moving us forward. Because, we've had some horrible economic situation in the United States. There's people who are literally a paycheck away from losing everything, losing their home, not being able to send the kids to school, and all the things that create quality of life. And part of all that healing that needs to take place in this country is for you, the new generation, to be compassionate, to understand other people, to try to see the other person's point of view. I remember when I first got elected to the state assembly, I was at this community function. This woman, buttonholed me and pulled me over. Why are you spending all this money on education and all these kids and that and then she went on and on. And I looked at her and I said, what made you so angry? Why are you so angry with these kids that were trying to educate kids and try to help them move up in the world? And she couldn't answer the question, by the way. But it's that kind of one-sidedness that doesn't make for a good decision making. Now, it's good to believe, and it's good to be solid in your beliefs, but you also have to take a look at how do my beliefs affect other people. How the way that I behave, how does that impact the people around? And being fair is a very important thing to be. judge, or whether you are, say, a assembly person, or a congresswoman, or governor of the state, or president of the United States, without fairness, you're not able to make good decisions. You're not able to understand what it means to really make change. And anybody who gets the big job, Madam Governor, you'll find this out. Anybody who gets the big job, you can't move forward unless you're bringing people together. You can't move forward unless you unite people. And you can't move forward unless you educate people. But first, before you can educate people, you have to be educated yourself. You have to at least know the facts and know the information. You know, I sometimes complain to people about the internet in that you'll go on in 10 minutes and be an expert, in quotes, on any subject there is. Right? You go online, go Wikipedia, that's true or not, but Wikipedia or wherever, and be an expert. But a true expert has experience, has knowledge, has tested the facts, and understands the subject matter coming and going. In order to be a good leader, you have to first be an expert in yourself. You first have to know yourself, develop yourself. Develop your world vision. What does that mean? When you get information from school or from a conference like this, it's how you apply the information that creates knowledge and creates wisdom. But you can't do that unless you have some sort of perspective about the world and what should be happening in your world and how you can make a difference in your world. That is how you become a good leader. And you will be leaders someday. You will lead a company, you will lead your family, you will lead this state. And when you get that responsibility, remember to step back for a minute and say, am I there just for me? Is it all about me and what's good for me and what I want for me and me? Or is it really about trying to make a difference? Trying to lead in a responsible way so that the world is better, that your family grows, that your state grows, that this organization grows because you provided good, solid, intelligent leadership. So, thank you so much for inviting me today. I applaud what you're doing. Keep working. Have fun. Most importantly, have fun. Don't let it pass by you too quickly. And thank you very much. May I have your questions?
He will be now taking a couple of quick questions. So if you have a question, raise your hand, call on you, stand
was going to share this at opening session. First, the organization at this Montezuma Mountain School for Boys in Northern California, and kind of perpetuating this mission of students participating in a high level of statesmanship and active citizenship. It was his national day where we honored him yesterday, which I thought was pretty cool because, you know, we're a big fan of, we call him Prof, even though he's dead. So, yeah, and a lot of what JSA, its mission of promoting active citizenship and educating high school students has stayed true since the 30s, during the Great Depression, in World War II, and to where we are now, which is great. And, you know, a little side fact, this is really funny, I find this hilarious. If you go on YouTube, there's this video, a promotional video of the Junior State of America from the 80s. And it's so funny because it's of Spring State, which is the convention we have in April, and it's the exact same hotel, the LAX Hilton, and there is literally no difference except for the people's clothing. It's hilarious because they have, you know, the 80s, you know, huge hair, you know, bright colors, big earrings. It's the funniest thing ever, and it's exactly the same because the colleges, I mean not the colleges, the hotels haven't even changed their decor since then. It's the same like shit. It's the funniest thing. So it's really great that we have this organization that stays so true to its foundation. So this is Fall State. Winter Congress happens in February. That's a little bit different because whereas this is, we have debate blocks, and Congress is supposed to be modeled as a Congress, model Congress. So we have the entire convention, they're split up into either senators or House of Representatives, and through that, you go, instead of going to different debate blocks, you can go to different committees. So you know, we have the committee on labor and means, we have the committee on energy, we have the committee on, you know, what it's ways and means, by the way. And so what happens is instead of having a debate department that writes the debate groups, we have the students write the bills, and we have the students who are party chairs and can champion a certain party, which is always really fun. So that one's a little bit different, and what happens is we debate the bills in committees on the first day. The second day we have full session where we debate the bills that pass. Those pass, we actually put out and we send them to Sacramento, to actual politicians in the real world. So that's an amazing conference. And then Spring State is very similar to Fall State, and that's where we elect our new leaders for the next year. So there's always a lot going on. In terms of the structure of this convention, what's great about JSA is that most of the time you have a choice of what you want to do, where you want to go. And so we have 5 to 6 debates or other activities going on at the same time. Obviously, have you guys all witnessed a JSA debate? None of you have witnessed a JSA debate? Okay, all right. No, this is great because, okay, so the way a JSA debate, are any of you guys like familiar with other debating styles? Okay, that's good then, because, I mean, people get confused. So what happens is we have people who are pre-assigned to debates ahead of time. We have our main proponency speaker, our main opponency speaker, and our moderator. So what happens is the main proponency speaker gives a 6-minute speech in favor of the resolution. So say, resolve that legalization of marijuana be legalized. So they talk about why it's so pertinently important that we legalize marijuana. Then it'll go to a 6-minute speech in the opponency. So they're going to talk about why they don't want to legalize marijuana for the sub-example. And then what'll happen is one of the things that makes JSA a little bit unique in its debating style, and to kind of perpetuate this form of active participation in democracy, is we then take subsequent speeches. So these people aren't like pre-assigned. The moderator will ask for the subsequent speech, and then someone from the audience can raise their hand, and then they'll come up and give a speech for 3 minutes. And that'll alternate pro-con a few times, depending on how long it is. And then what'll happen is we'll have closing speeches where our main speakers will, the con will go up, give his closing speech, the pro will give the closing speech. And we vote on the resolution, and we vote for best speaker on ballots on these ballots. So some things to note, because it always confused me at my first convention. There's an opportunity to make something called motions. So probably the most common one you'll see is that during a debate, someone will be speaking and their time will be running out. There'll usually be someone in the front row counting how much time they have left, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, half, counting down. And say someone's making a great speech and his time is running out, then what'll happen is someone from the audience can say, motion to extend the speaker's time. And the moderator will ask by how much, so a minute. And then they'll say all in favor, and then the audience gets to vote. If they like that, they can say aye, and if they're like, no, this guy needs to get off the podium and let someone else speak, they can yell nay. So that's another motion. Also, at the end of a speech, if someone doesn't fill out their full 6 minutes or their full 3 minutes, they can either absorb their time, yield it to the chair, and just sit down. They're done. They can yield it to questions and take questions from the audience, or they can yield it to another speaker. But the last one you don't really see as much. So I mean that's kind of what will be going on. So if people are like yelling things like motion to this, or you'll know what that means. And again, like what's great is that you can just sit there and actively listen and kind of take in whatever is being discussed, or you can, ask questions, make a subsequent speech. It really encourages your participation, which is why I think what makes it so special and so vibrant. So yeah, do you guys have any questions about debate structure? Yeah.
What's a mock trial?
Oh, and then, okay, mock trial, which is actually the very first time we've ever done this, so I'm a little bit nervous. It's where we have a Supreme Court case that's kind of the times, and this time it's Fisher versus University of Texas. And what'll happen is we have a student acting as a Chief Justice, and what'll happen is we have a lead attorney, they'll give speech in favor of Fisher, then we'll have a lead respondent who will give speech in favor of the University of Texas, and then what'll happen is the justices will leave the room, and they'll kind of make their decision and deliberate. And then while that's happening, we're going to have a thought talk with the students about the case and what they've heard. We actually also have a judge here that works for the Orange County Supreme Court who will kind of be guiding us through that, and then they'll come back and they'll make their decision. It'll be great because I know a lot of JSAers are also involved in mock trials, so we can kind of bring another facet into our program that appeals to a wider demographic of students interested in politics. So yeah. And then I know Timothy mentioned speed chess. Speed chess is a little bit different from the traditional debate style. In short, instead of having speech, what'll happen is a person will open, and instead of just one person speaking and then the other person speaking, they'll both be up there, and it's kind of like tag teaming. So, pretend I don't know, what am I debating? That Obamacare is a failure. And so I would say, Obamacare is a failure because of X, Y, and Z. Make a short, concise statement. And I bang my gavel, and then the next person would say, well, I think this Obamacare is this, and then they bang their gavel, and it goes back and forth. So it's a little bit more direct. It's like crossfire. And that's at our regional events that we've had so far this year. It's that kind of style of debate has been really popular. It's really exciting. And again, it's the same structure with me and subsequent. So yeah, that'll be happening. We also have thought talks. Does anyone know what a thought talk is? Oh man, I just feel so full of wisdom. This is great. Because usually I ask anyone else, they're like, yeah, I know what a thought talk is. I've been to JS. No, I'm just kidding. But so a thought talk is just a more informal form of political discussion. And since you guys are first-time JSAers, may not feel comfortable making a speech quite yet, what will happen is there'll be a moderator. We'll start with a question saying, okay, we should legalize, or we should get rid of the pen. And then instead of people making speeches, you'll kind of be in a room like this, and you can raise your hand, ask, and make a quick point, and it kind of goes off of each other. And thought talks are not designed to be quite as structured. You start out with like an idea, like whether or not the penny should be eradicated, and then it moves on to maybe a broader discussion about Lincoln, and then Lincoln's impact in the Civil War, and then civil rights, and it's meant to kind of progress, and it's just a informal form of political discussion. And I know a lot of first-time JSAs really appreciate that kind of debating, not debating, but discussion style, because it's a little bit more informal, and it's a little bit easier to speak up for the first time in a thought talk, because you don't have to make a speech. So yeah, and then there's also other little activities we have going on throughout the convention. We have political Pictionary, kind of speaks for itself. And, there's a lot to offer. So that'll happen. We'll have 3 blocks of that today. And then at night, what'll happen is you'll have time to get dinner, be back here for caucus, and then we just kind of have night activities, and that's really your time. You can go to the dance. There's other things going on. There's JSA Hot Seat. There's the movie, and that kind of time is kind of yours to unwind after this really intense day of debate. Yeah, what's up? Oh, right. Okay. So basically, in order to make sure that everybody's back in the hotel, everybody's safe after dinner, because people go and they're back here, is we have all the chapters gather in the main room, and we just have the chapter president and the teacher advisor count up their people, they report it to the mayor, and we just make sure that everybody at the convention is accounted for, and that everybody is safe and back from dinner, and we don't do anything, you guys will just be sitting there talking. It's basically a very intense roll call for all the kids. Yeah. And then tomorrow, it's pretty much the same structure. There won't be an opening session like that is today in the morning. You'll just go straight into your debate, into your blocks. We'll have 4 of those, and then we'll have a short closing session. And basically, all we do at that closing session is we just award best speaker gavels, and that'll be the end. And by the way the best speaker gavels work is that while we do have a competitive debate program where we have a team of judges, teachers who are scoring people on, strength of argument and body gestures and tone of voice and all that stuff, most of our debates we have the students vote on who they thought the best speaker is. Because at the end, the students will stand up, announce who they are, and you can write on one of these ballots who we think the best speaker is, and then those will be tallied up for every single debate, and then we'll pass out a few dozen gavels at the end, which is really fun and really exciting. Yeah. So that is pretty much JSA Fall City in a nutshell. Do you guys have any questions? You guys, you'll get the hang of it. It's a little bit overwhelming at first, but yeah. And if throughout the convention you feel compelled to even just ask a question or make a 15-second statement in a thought talk, this is really the place to participate, because what we do in JSA thrives off of your participation and your enthusiasm and your initiative. So even if it's your first convention, I say go for it. It took me a really long time before I would do anything. I would just kind of sit there paralyzed in fear for my first couple of conventions, and then I finally went up to speak, and I was so scared. My voice was shaking. I was almost about to cry, and it was just a huge disaster. But then what I realized is that when you're in a room like this, with all these kids, no one really wants to listen to a bad speech. So when you go up here to speak, every single person in that room is rooting for you, because you're going to decide whether they're going to have a good 3 minutes of their life, or if they're going to be in pain and agony for the next 3 minutes. So just know that people want you to succeed when you're in that room, and there's very few places where you'll get that really positive mentality. So I'm going to send you guys to mock trial now, because it sounds like they're starting.
Have 10 minutes for questioning. The same will happen with the respondent. The respondent arguing in favor of the University of Texas will have 5 minutes to present his case, 10 minutes for questions, at which point the 8 associate justices and the chief justice will exit the room, deliberate, and while they are deliberating, we will hear from our guest speaker, Ms. Applin, whom Liam will introduce. And following that, they will announce their decision, and that will be mock trial. Okay, thanks everybody.
So to start off, we're going to have the 5-minute opening statement from the petitioner.
So, the petitioner, Abigail Noel Fisher, a white woman from Texas, applied to the fall semester at the University of Texas in 2008. At the time, the university had an affirmative action policy in place as well as a top 10% plan that allowed any resident of Texas who was a part of the top 10% of her high school guaranteed admission to the university. That made up 85% of the university's incoming class, and she did not fall under that top 10% plan. She went on to a smaller pool of applicants where she was once again denied admission, although her academic credentials exceeded the minorities that were accepted. Until 1996, the University of Texas admissions policy allowed using race as a factor in the admissions process. When Hopper versus Texas prevented them from continuing this policy, they initiated the top 10% plan, as I aforementioned. And every year following 1996, the university has achieved and exceeded its goals for diversity, ones that were furthered by the approval of race as a factor in admission in Goddard versus Bollinger. I have 2 main arguments. That diversity is no longer a compelling government interest for the University of Texas. The concept of creating diversity in the classroom that allows for difference in opinion, ideas, and viewpoints while also limiting the discrimination that has often plagued this nation, and is still a compelling government interest. For the past 16 years, the university has publicized the fact that with over 50% of its admitted class being of minority races, it is one of the most diverse schools in the nation. If so, its claim to want to increase diversity is really unnecessary. My second argument is that the University of Texas policy is not narrowly tailored. This means that, which the university details its plan, it's not narrowly tailored to fit the compelling interest of diversity. With its numbers of diversity through past programs already prominent, the policy denied the petitioner will only increase its numbers by a nominal amount of points, not satisfying the compelling interest. When U of T issued its top 10 policy in 1996 and factored race into its admissions in 2003, it was to achieve what it was called a critical mass. It claims to have not reached a critical mass because certain demographics did not match the diversity of the state as a whole. This, however, resembled the quota system that was declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court in University of California versus Big in 1978. By actual definition of the critical mass, the university has already achieved its goals. I yield it. Third question.
Thank you. Thank you for your excellent speech. You stated that the University of Texas's policy resembles the quota system that was declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court in the University of California v. Blake. And the many of you here who have not read that case, basically it was Alan Blake, a 35-year-old white man, who was denied admission to the University of Davis. Just to clarify on that, you stated that the quotas resemble it. However, you know in the California v. Big court case, Big was actually certified and qualified to be admitted into the college campus, whereas Fisher, the University of Texas, has stated that Fisher would not have been denied admission regardless of her race because her credentials do not live up to those of the remaining applicants. What do you state towards that?
The university said that they have a two-way system of admitting a student, a personal achievement index as well as an academic index. The personal achievement index has the extracurriculars, the personal essay, or the interview that was cited. But also in that personal achievement index, they put race in a personal achievement. You can't really achieve race. It's not necessary because you're born with that. But the need for critical mass that matches that the states is not merely tailored to match its interest, but rather to reach a specific quota when it comes to diversity.
So in your argument, you said that the school has already met its diversity requirements and met those goals. So why would it be necessary to take away that policy? If the school has already met its requirements, wouldn't it stop on its own?
Texas is a definitely segregated state. Because of that, you don't, from this top 10% policy, you don't really know what kind of races are coming from that. And the fact that that is happening, can you repeat your question? I'm sorry.
So you're saying the University of Texas, they have policies in place to make sure that they're really segregated, or they're really diverse and get rid of segregation. And if you're saying that they've already met that and is one of the most diverse schools in the nation, then wouldn't the school stop that or at least reduce the amount that they create diversity if they've already met their goals on their own?
I said earlier that diversity is should no longer be a race issue. It should really be an argument of whether or not people have different opinions and personalities that could clash in the classroom. I really believe that for the fact that it's being announced very often, it's just one of those things that makes you want to come to the university even more.
Once again, you stated that the University of Texas's policy is clearly flawed because it solely focuses on someone's race rather than their merits, their ambitions, and their personality. But do you understand that the University of Texas blatantly says that race is not a deciding factor when establishing admission requirements? It's just merely something that influences their decision, but isn't nearly as important as what you're stressing here today?
I repeated earlier that in the personal achievement index, race is a factor in whether or not you get accepted to university. I really think that Ms. Fisher did have the qualifying needs to be a student there. There are two different ways you could get accepted. If you don't have the best grades, you could get in on extracurriculars you could do outside. And I really believe that Ms. Fisher did have these things, and that race shouldn't really be an issue or in any index to whether or not you get accepted to the university.
So you mentioned how it doesn't serve compelling state interest to maintain this diversity. Why not? Because, I was under the impression that because you mentioned before that Texas is a very segregated state. So when it only makes sense to break down those segregation walls and have a diverse school like the University of Texas. Isn't that a compelling state interest?
Actually, it could be, but I really believe that it isn't, because if she is a person of white interest because she's in Texas, the state police for diversity doesn't really exist. Yeah.
So why is it that you believe that the 10% plan, which achieves the same ends, but not the same means as the quota system in the big versus board, is unconstitutional?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Why is it that you believe that the 10% plan, which achieves the same ends, but not the same means as the quota system in the big versus board, is unconstitutional?
The top 10% policy, again, admits the student at the top 10% of their class, but their high school could be of different means. It means that one high school can't be as top as academic achieving as the other. So saying that, you're not really admitting students on their basic academic achievement. And yeah, sorry.
And now we're going to hear a 5-minute opening statement from the respondent from the University of Texas.
Okay. Can everybody hear me? Yes? Okay. Okay. My response will center around 3 main points. Firstly, that the admissions policies that the University of Texas uses do serve the government's compelling interest in maintaining diversity in their student bodies, and that these policies of affirmative action are absolutely necessary in the success seen over the past decade in the University of Texas system in this endeavor, and is to be sustained and built upon to maintain this critical aspect of educating the next generation of leaders. Secondly, that the evaluation of race as one contributing factor to potential students' admission, as implemented by the University of Texas, is narrowly tailored, as the court established in a successful affirmative action program need be in Bach versus the Board of Education. Thirdly, and finally, that the University of Texas's affirmative action program is not unconstitutional and does not contradict legal precedent, that the parameters for the policies that the court has decided in previous cases are maintained by the policies of the University of Texas system. Especially when concerning education, the government has a compelling interest in the intellectual diversity on state university campuses. And to achieve such diversity, it is imperative that affirmative action be taken to assure that students from a variety of racial and ethnic demographics are represented in public university programs. The University of Texas's admission policy uniquely and effectively serves this interest by arriving at their admission decision first through a broad scope academic qualification, then subsequently a holistic evaluation of the remaining candidates. This ensures that 2 things. First of all, that the academically excellent candidates, regardless of race or ethnicity, are offered admission to the University of Texas. Secondly, that the educational diversity of the student body remains a priority in evaluating the remainder of the student body. The University of Texas system has so far been successful in this endeavor, in increasing diversity in its student body and maintaining above a 50% minority admissions rate. The university's success illustrates just how important the current policy for admission is. The proactive response taken by the university to combat what has historically been one of the South's greatest challenges is instrumental in moving forward to a more equal society, a more equal student body, and a more equal labor force. One day I hope that such policies are no longer needed, but it must be recognized now that to strike down a successful policy of affirmative action in an institution of higher education where there has previously been discrimination will cause a dramatic decrease in the diversity of the student body and a return to the disparity of intellectual diversity. After California, here in California, we voted into effect Prop 209 in the 1996 election, which was a ban on affirmative action practices in this state. The University of California, Berkeley had a 61% drop in admissions of African American, Latino, and Native American students. The University of California, Los Angeles also maintained a 36% drop in admissions from the same demographics. This exclusion, albeit unintentional, cannot be allowed to occur in the University of Texas system that has come so far from a segregated state in 1950. Therefore, I would maintain that it is a compelling interest for the government to allow, and even possibly encourage, in states that have a history as racially segregated as Texas, that public universities keep admission policies like the one that the University of Texas originated. These policies help to ensure that intellectual diversity and the admissions process at the University of Texas are shaped around those, these policies were shaped around those at the University of Michigan, which was referenced by the petitioner in Grutter versus Bollinger in 2003. These policies were ruled both constitutional and narrowly tailored to the individual's application. For the same reasons that the court found the consideration of race and admissions decisions constitutional and if not admirable in 2003, they should uphold the similar considerations as implemented by the University of Texas system. The University of Texas considers race as only a small positive factor in admissions decisions. This is not based on any assumption that race and ethnicity in any way correlate with viewpoint. but rather that a racially diverse student body naturally expands the horizons of students who may not have interacted with those of different races and backgrounds. Because an individual's race or ethnicity cannot impede the consideration, because every applicant is considered individually, there's no violation of the protection clause, and these policies cannot be ruled unconstitutional. I hope that the court recognizes the merit in the University of Texas system, which evaluates potential students by both illustrating potential.
Okay, so now we're going to have 10 minutes, please, for questions from the Associate Justices.
So as the respondent, you're bringing up affirmative action over and over as one of the main viewpoints of your case. But in 1961, President John F. Kennedy issued an executive order to help combat discrimination throughout the United States. And I say, quote, not discriminate against any employee or applicant for employment because of race, creed, color, or national origin, end quote. So I get the idea that the respondent is bringing up, that having a racially diverse population is something beneficial for the whole population. However, don't you think that by denying Abigail Fisher the right to come to your school just based on her race as it impacted her application, don't you think that's blatantly going against what John F. Kennedy stated, that someone should not discriminate another person based on their race, creed, or origin?
I think that President Kennedy's quote is inspirational and should motivate the majority of our actions. But when admitting students to an institute of higher education, it is important to note that the Supreme Court in the Bach versus University of California system court case, that the majority opinion stated that it was permissible to give preference to to students who are in the minority. This is mainly to create a university campus environment in which students of all ethnic and racial backgrounds can interact with one another and learn from each other.
Responding to your statements just a couple seconds ago, what makes higher education different from employment as far as affirmative action goes?
Mainly that when you're going into higher education, you don't necessarily have the same skills that you do going into employment. In employment, it is more necessary to evaluate based on someone's competency for a job rather than their competency to learn. And I think as human beings, we all have a natural competency to learn, and therefore it is permissible to utilize race as one of many admissions factors to institutions of higher education.
Okay, so you mentioned that it is important to have racially diverse schools in order to open up more perspectives for the learning environment. But do you think it is possible? Do you think it's not possible for those students to get that racial diversity outside of school?
As the petitioner mentioned, the state of Texas is a very racially segregated state with different regions having highly saturated areas, that are normally having highly saturated areas where people of certain races, which are normally minorities, reside. And so I think that the university campus is the ideal location for students to interact and become knowledgeable about students from other racial backgrounds.
I actually have a question for you too right now. You mentioned earlier about how they're trying to, the University of Texas is trying to achieve a critical mass, which is over 50% minorities for people out there. Okay? And doesn't this somewhat resemble a quota? And a quota. And as you very well know, that quotas were ruled unconstitutional in the case Grutter versus Michigan. So why is the University of Texas's system of like the critical mass different from Michigan's?
From California's?
Well, in Grutter versus Michigan, they established that there are no quotas allowed. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Sorry.
That ruling is correct. It was for the University Bach versus the University of California. Regardless, I do believe that quotas are an incorrect way of going about admitting students of a racially diverse background. However, race was not automatically integrated into the admissions decision after the majority of the students, 85% of the students, were admitted through the top 10% plan. And the top 10% plan isn't a quota system because it is racially blind. It is racially and ethnically blind. Students from any area of the state who graduate within the top 10% of their class are granted admission into the University of Texas system. And the goal of all of the University of Texas's attempts at affirmative action, it is not to give minorities the upper hand in any way, rather to reflect more adequately the racial diversity that the state of Texas actually maintains.
I'm sorry, but I still just have, like, about the critical mass, though. I understand, though, how you're not trying to, like, be discriminatory. But the thing is, this critical mass, you said over 50%. That's a number right there. Now, is that a quota?
Well, I think the reason we haven't achieved critical mass is because we do evaluate race in a way that is different from the quota system. We evaluate race based on how much race has impacted the student's life rather than what race or ethnicity they are. So it's not, we need more Latino male students, so we're going to go out and look in our admissions pool after the top 10% plan and find those students. If those Latino male students have maintained a connection to their cultural heritage, we may give them preference because they can show how their history has affected them.
Based on what you said about the admission policies that use race, are you suggesting that race can only positively affect the admission process? And if you are, how would it positively affect Abigail Fisher?
I think there were a number of reasons why Abigail Fisher was not admitted, namely that she didn't qualify under the 10% plan. But beyond that, I think that race can be used effectively in evaluating an admissions decision, but not at the University of Texas. The way that the University of Texas has utilized race in their evaluations of applications is reserve battery power. The way that the University of Texas has utilized race in the applications, in evaluating the applications from high school students is, as I mentioned earlier, only in how their race connects with their personal life and their personal achievements, which is why it is evaluated under the personal achievement category of their of the admissions breakdown.
Would you agree that racial diversity on the university is as important as ensuring that there are qualified professors, proper learning facilities, and attractive scholarship opportunities for the students?
Of course. The president of the university said if we fail to maintain racial diversity on our campus, we will become less effective and less appealing to the high school students who are looking for a university to attend. And I think as the state or the government's the flagship university, the University of Texas, we should be on the forefront of racial diversity in institutions of higher education.
Could you clarify on what you mean that race cannot be the deciding factor, but rather slightly influences the admissions process? Because either way, isn't race something that gives a strong presence of whether a person shall or shall not be admitted to the college?
No, only that it is a contributing, not a controlling factor, as was validated in the Bach versus Board of Education case. Ours is similar to what they said an affirmative action program should be, that race is only a contributing, not a controlling factor in the admissions decision. Can you repeat the second half of the question?
Just could you please describe what the difference is between a controlling and a contributing factor? Because in both cases and scenarios, isn't race something that the college looks at when deciding a person's admittance?
Yes, it is something the college looks at. But again, in the majority opinion of Bach versus the Board of Education, it was said that it is permissible to use race as a factor in evaluating admissions. I'll go over the difference between a controlling and contributing. A controlling factor is one like the academics, one that would qualify you for the University of Texas's top 10% plan. If you graduated within the top 10% of your class, you would be granted admission, whereas a contributing factor like race would only be part of your application.
We'll go outside and we will deliberate, I guess.
So while the justices are deliberating, it is with great pleasure that I introduce our guest speaker today, Ms. Maureen Applin. She's been practicing law in Orange County for over 20 years now and got her start in civil litigation, mainly dealing with banks. After that, she moved up to a broader spectrum of law through business litigation, both small businesses and larger businesses. Recently, she's been offered the opportunity to serve with the juvenile system in the Superior Court of Orange County, and she graciously accepted. Dealing with this, she deals with troubled youth, mainly with the problems of drugs, truancy, and delinquency. One thing that she loves about being a lawyer is that she's able to see new attorneys and seasoned attorneys and is able to see how the practice of law has changed over time. She also works with the Constitutional Rights Foundation as a mock trial judge and is speaking to us today about what makes a good lawyer and how the mock trial program really works. So without further ado, Ms. Maureen Applin.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me here today. I'm going to speak about the mock trial program in general and this program specifically. And then I'm going to talk about our debate today, what you saw as the mock trial, and what I perceive to be the strengths and weaknesses on both sides. And I am going to open it up to question and answer and a discussion as to what you felt worked and what you felt didn't work, to help us all broaden our opinions, views, and education on being involved in mock trial and how it might influence your life in the future and hopefully improve it. So, as discussed, I serve on the Constitutional Rights of Orange County Foundation that sponsors the mock trial program for all of Orange County's high schools. The difference in that program versus what you saw today is in that program, the students serve either as a prosecution or defense. They serve in every role as a witness, and there is only one fact finder, the judge, who is neutral and listens to both sides, has the ability to ask some questions, and then makes a ruling. Nevertheless, those students are judged by attorneys, prominent attorneys in Orange County, and they're judged not necessarily based on whether they won or lost the case. In fact, that is not a controlling factor in the decision on whether a team won or lost. It's the delivery, whether a student is prepared, whether the student can respond to a question, which is very difficult when you're in the middle of giving an answer and a judge stops you and asks you, well, what about this case? How does that affect what you're saying? It's very difficult to think on your feet in that arena, articulate your answer, and then get back on track to what your point was. what you're trying to argue, and sway someone to believe your argument. So that is what happens at the trial court level in the high schools around Orange County in the mock trial program. And it, in essence, creates excellent public speakers. And whether you become a lawyer or not, and many of you will, many of you won't, public speaking is a very important component of interviewing for a job. If you're a teacher, you do it every day, giving presentations. If you want to become a professor in a school of higher education, you're speaking to people every day, and you must be able to convey your thoughts articulately. And I think the most important thing one must consider is your delivery. Whether you're making eye contact, whether you're speaking slowly enough so that your audience can understand what you're saying. And that's going to lead me into today's mock trial. The difference being, first of all, it's at the Supreme Court level. And what is our U.S. Supreme Court engaged to do? They are engaged to decide whether something is constitutional. So it's much different than at the trial court level when you're either, it's a criminal case proving whether someone committed a crime or not, or in the civil area, whether somebody has been wronged civilly and is owed money, etc. Very different. At the Supreme Court level, it is a decision whether a policy affects all citizens of the United States and whether it is being applied constitutionally. Today we're discussing the 14th Amendment, equal protection under the laws. All people are to be treated equally. So should race be a factor when being admitted into a college? It's a very important decision point and will affect all of you very soon. So I'm going to speak first of all about Ms. Fisher, the petitioner in this case. First of all, I want to applaud both of you for doing an excellent job. It is really hard to do what you do. Getting up here and speaking, debating, being asked questions that you don't know what's coming your way. It's very difficult to respond, which you both, I'm sure, acknowledge today, and you both did a great job doing so. So it's important that we acknowledge both of these today and give them a round of applause for doing that. Ms. Fisher has some very compelling arguments on her side. And I would suggest that if she delivered them a little slower, that people would have heard them. In the audience, I believe if I polled most people, they may not have really heard what your arguments were because you delivered them very quickly. And there's a lot of information in the University of Texas's critical mass or their quota scenario, the personal achievement versus the 10% index. Those are the facts that really decide whether there is a quota system or whether there is not a quota system. And that is really the bottom line answer. Because for the Supreme Court to decide this case, they have to decide if there's a compelling governmental interest and whether that interest is narrow, if the system they have in place is narrowly tailored to achieve that interest. Narrowly tailored is a bit of an amorphous concept. And I believe Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, whom I admire greatly, did not do a great job in articulating what is critical mass. How does one come to critical mass? Doesn't that necessarily imply a quota? At some point, how do you measure that? So Ms. Fisher had the opportunity today to really pull apart UT's admission policy. Top 10%, that's pretty clear, right? We all can understand what a top 10% of scores. That's grading and ACT entrance scores, or SAT, whatever the school accepts. But it's that second, personal achievement index portion, that really makes or breaks this case? What is that? And most importantly, does the University of Texas reveal what that is? Do they disclose to any applicant or anyone who's interested how they came to those decisions? And isn't that the real ding, ding, ding moment here? How do we know what their priorities were based on? And if they're based on race, is that fair? That's the issue. So I believe Ms. Fisher today made a very good argument regarding compelling government interest. Is that important, that the government promote diversity? I thought she did a good job tackling that. Is it narrowly tailored? What is critical mass? So her first question that was proposed to her from the Associate Justices was regarding the Bakke case. The Bakke case was University of Regents in California, law school admissions at UC Davis. When one applicant clearly qualified is denied admission because they're trying to have minorities attend. I think she did a pretty good job handling that one by tying that into the personal achievement index versus 10%. That's maybe a softball. The next question is really important. Her next question proposed to her was, since they've already met their goal of over 50%, wouldn't it stop on its own? I don't know the answer to that. Why? Because I don't really know what the University of Texas bases their second-tier decisions on. Why? Because they don't disclose them. So I think that could have been made much clearer. The third question she was asked was, well, isn't the policy flawed? If the sole focus of the second tier is on race, then is race really the sole factor? I don't know if it is or not. Again, we don't know what is their final decision-making factor. And the fourth question she was asked is the 10% plan different from the Bakke plan? And her answer, I thought, could have been better articulated in that the difference is, and she probably should have just admitted it, you're right, I am different from Bakke. I am not in the top 10%. Bakke was. I'm on the second tier decision panel, and that second tier includes race. And that's not fair to me. So that is what I perceive to be her strengths and weaknesses. And again, we'll open it up to other people, so I'm going to do the respondents next, so that we all have some things to think about, and then open to question and answer. University of Texas, they responded. Excellent job. And I want to highlight the fact that he spoke a lot slower, which helped us really understand his case. The negative side in this situation of speaking slowly is sometimes you run out of time, which he did, but I think he covered all of his facts and bases prior to running out of time. And his argument that he faced, or really focused on, was the compelling governmental interest, which is his strong argument. So he did a really good job focusing on that and articulating that. He didn't even mention, is it narrowly tailored? Why? Because that's his weak argument. He might have mentioned it because that is the real intellectual discussion here today. How is this formula derived? The first question from the Associate Justice to him was regarding President Kennedy in I believe that was 61, I don't know what the dates were. Do not discriminate against anyone based on their race. Basically the 14th Amendment, which we're discussing today. And I thought you fielded that very, very well. That the question was, is it denying somebody's admission based on race, going against what President Kennedy espoused way back then? And it is true, if race is a factor, then is that really compelling? Does the government have a compelling governmental interest in having diversity on college campuses? The second question was, what makes higher education different from employment? I thought that was an excellent question. Because the reality is, you cannot hire or fire based on race. Why can a university admit or not admit based on race? Good question. The answer, I thought, was excellent. His answer was, we're focusing on the competency to learn, not the competency of a skill in a job. That's a good answer. Because the environment of a university is about learning. It's about being exposed to new things. So, excellent answer, in my opinion. Third question he got was, can't students get this diversity outside of the school setting? Good question, right? Aren't they already exposed to a very racially diverse Texas? His answer was very good. It's saturated in some areas, but not in others. So maybe students aren't getting that exposure. And we want the university to give them that exposure. It's a good answer. The fourth question he was asked, which is the toughest one by far, isn't critical mass basically a disguised quota? What is critical mass? Is this constitutional? That we don't have the formula. His answer was good, that we have this 50%, we're there and it should stay there. But the real issue, I believe, is that what is critical mass? How can you give a formula for that? What does that mean? Does that mean it's different in every school? Maybe. I don't know. But that was his question. Well done. Fifth, can race only possibly affect admission? What is it possible that it negatively affects admission? And his answer was, it's only used in the personal achievement, so it can only be a positive. I guess that depends on whether you get admitted or denied. The next question is race as important as the entire institution, meaning your professors, what the institution has as facilities? What's more important? And his answer was diversity help attract students. Good answer. Seventh and final question was, is race a contributing factor or a controlling factor? What is the difference between those two? And I didn't get much of an answer, but I think the point that I made beginning this dialogue was that if UT won't disclose what is the contributing or controlling factor, then how will we ever know? All right, I believe, I was going to open up to question, I think maybe we'll do it after the justices make their decision. We'll do a question and answer form, because I believe they're back with their decision. So thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today.
Now, due to the numerous factors of this case, we have a lot to discuss and delegate about, and we have narrowed it down to two separate rulings, and I shall be representing a minority of both those rulings. First, because race is not something that an applicant can work towards and strive for, whereas their academic portfolio for college is cultivated by hard work and determination, it is my opinion that affirmative action be deemed unconstitutional, and the university should remove their goal of achieving any sort of critical mass policy, as it also goes against the Equal Rights Amendment. Thank you.
So, as my colleague said, we broke it down into separate components, and I'll be representing the majority today. So in a 5-4 decision, the majority ruled that affirmative action is in fact constitutional for two reasons. One, it definitely serves a compelling state interest, and two, it appeared to us that it was definitely narrowly tailored, and so therefore we will rule it constitutional. And on a different note, and a 9-0 was completely unanimous, I think, we struck down the critical mass because we believe that it resembles a quota system that was ruled unconstitutional 8 years ago.
And with that, the mock Supreme Court session is over. We will now hear a quick announcement. Hold on, before you leave, hold up. We have a quick announcement from our Governor, Juliana Johnson.
Well, not that quick. Really fast. There is a young lady and she lost her cell phone. It's a iPhone 4S black and it has an orange case. So if anyone has seen it, please come talk to me. All right, Ann, what time do you guys need to be back for lunch? From lunch?